What's up, roller family, and welcome to RollerLife. Today on the tutorials we're gonna talk about very important tips and tricks to keep in mind when traveling to other cities, states, provinces, countries, or even worlds. So without further ado, skaters up, let's roll. On our last video, we talked about how to make the bags with our skate, optimizing space and making it more comfortable to travel on different styles of transport. And in this video, we're gonna talk about how to skate once we've arrived at the destination.
With your legs and feet, what other way is there?
Yeah, of course, but did you know there are many places where you could get a very hefty fine for skating there, or even arrested? Today we're gonna talk about how to avoid this sort of situation, and also avoid getting to a place and realizing that the streets are not in skatable conditions, or that skating there, the difficulty is just way too advanced. These two episodes are inspired by the series Roller World, where we travel all over the place, we get to meet our roller family, we do a lot of tourism, sports, activities, and of course, we skate on amazing spots. If you have not seen the series yet, I'll leave it up here on the tag, down here on the description below, or at the end of the video so you can click it. So before we pack our bags and put our skates in like we saw in the last video, we're gonna do the first and most important thing, which is getting to see if the place is actually skatable, or choose a destination where you could skate. So the first thing we could do is finding out if the place where we're going has any skating groups. The best way to do this is logging into Google, Instagram, or even Facebook and searching for the name of the place where you're going, followed by skating, inline skating, skating groups, patines, rollerblading, you get the gist. I'll put some ideas here on screen. If the place has a skating group, well, you pretty much have the skating part of the vacation solved. Just try to get in contact with them and find out what days they get together. Also, very important, find out what's the group's skating level. Some groups do adjust their level for the person that's visiting, but still, it's a good idea to clear up beforehand. Yeah, you don't want to get left behind in the middle of nowhere. Yours truly went to Iguazu thinking that it was all flat land, and turns out that no, it is all just very steep hills. Clearly, there was no skating group that I could ask beforehand, and of course, I failed geography. If you can't find or there are no skating groups where you're going, you're gonna have to do a couple more steps to determine if it's worth bringing your skates. In first place, try to look at as many pictures as you can of the place where you're traveling to. Try to Google search real photos from people and not just advertisement images. After that, we're gonna rely on the traveler's best friend, Google Maps. Inside Google Maps, we could see the streets around where we're staying, we can make a circuit, or we could find out if the touristic spots are within skating distance. The important thing, it's not only tracing a route to where you want to go, but also finding out the state of the streets, if there's any highways, avenues, sidewalks, uphills, or downhills, and we're going to do that using Google Street View. So I'm going to explain very briefly how to do this. You could do it with a phone, PC, or tablet. So we log into Google Maps and we search for the place where we're going to be staying at. Inside, we search for where it says Street View, and there's an image of the place. By clicking that, we're in Street View. So the next step is searching on the lower right corner to minimize it. Once that is done, we have a combined window of Street View and the GPS. If I would have done this when I went to Iguazu, I would have noticed a very steep downhill that was right next to the hotel, and I could have avoided it, but I didn't, and that led to very serious consequences.
These are all terrifying, deadly downhills, and I wouldn't recommend them to anyone for skating if you're a beginner, not even intermediate, advanced. Only if you're very skilled. Otherwise, you'll scrape your butt just like I did.
But besides that, we can see that the streets are in pretty good condition for skating. Of course, I'm not gonna tell you to go around the whole city this way, but if you have a route planned out that you want to make sure it's in skating conditions, this is the way to go. Also, many places around the world, like Miami or South Florida, have great streets. However, the traffic there is extremely chaotic, so your safest bet will be to skate on the sidewalk, which is in pretty good condition. Another tip to keep in mind is that it's not really a good idea to ask people who doesn't skate if the streets are skatable. Most of the time, they really won't know, and they might say yes because they see bikes riding all the time, but that doesn't really make it skatable. Or they might say no in a place where it's a yes, just because they don't want you skating there. Another good idea is to see if where you're going has any skate parks, plazas, velodromes, or multi-sport places. That way you could skate in a safe environment regardless of the streets. Alright, now that we know that the place is skatable, let's move on to other items that are just as important. If the place where you're going has one or more skating groups, make sure your first skate is with them. That way you can ask them about traffic, best skating hours, where to go, where not to go, and if there's any restrictions on skaters. Some places allow you to skate on the streets, other places definitely don't allow that, and some other places allow that, but really it's not recommended because of the kind of traffic they have. And that takes me to my next point. If you're not gonna be skating with locals, What the fuck? If you're not gonna be skating with locals, make sure you know the traffic laws of that place and if they're different from what you're used to. In Argentina, on the intersections, if the light is red, you cannot turn left or right. But in the United States, even though the light is red, you could still turn right. In the United States, when there's a stop sign, the cars come to a complete stop, regardless if there's anyone around. And here in Argentina, well, I've never seen a stop sign anywhere. They don't even bother putting them up. But if there were stop signs, well, no one would respect them anyway. That is why it's important to be extremely careful when skating on the street and getting to know the basic traffic rules when skating on a new city. If this year you want to travel a lot and of course bring your skates along, the best secret and recommendation I can give you is to smash that like button, subscribe if you're not already, and of course share this video with someone you want to go with. Alright, this may be a bit silly to say, but another important thing to keep in mind is the weather, especially the local weather. If you're used to stable weather and you plan a trip to a tropical place, well, you might be in for a big surprise. For instance, going out for a skate with beautiful weather and within 10 minutes being inside an apocalyptic pouring storm. And 10 minutes later, having a beautiful day once again. That's what happened to me in Miami. And of course, we can't forget about the sand, the salt, the sea, and whatnot. And that's why I always recommend taking a small kit with you to clean and lubricate the bearings. Yes, that is how the bearings ended up after the storm. And this is how my wallet ended up after having to pay for lubrication and cleaning products on a foreign country. I should have just bought Vaseline. For the bearings, the bearings, yeah. Finally, I usually don't recommend skating with backpacks or bags, but considering that we're in a place where we don't know, it might save us from unexpected situations. Not all of the places are very fond of skaters, and if we want to enter a touristic place or attraction, we might have to do it without our skates on. That is why inside of the backpack you should have very light shoes or sandals, an extra t-shirt for if you're sweaty, a towel for the same thing, a coat if needed, the skate tool, some water for hydration, the documents, and money. And yes, technically you could use the liner as shoes, however they're not made for that, so it would only be indoor use and short distances. Anything beyond that, you could break the liner. Closing up, I want to remind you that nowadays skating is not that common to see, so be kind to everyone, be respectful, and yes, that means that sometimes we have to suffer insufferable people. There's still some people that think that the wheels scratch and ruin the floor. Yeah, they were born when the wheels were made of wood. Of course, there are many places where they're just afraid that we could fall, trip, and break something, or sue them. If you're a beginner or you don't trust your skating skills, sometimes it is best to take off your skates than to break your head against a coffee machine or a table. If this should happen, and you're conscious, admit your fault, say you're sorry, and offer to pay any damages done. That way, more and more stores will let us enter with our skates on. I'm gonna make a parenthesis here and talk about security and safety. Some places are extremely safe and there's absolutely no trouble on going out skating at any time. But some places aren't as safe and we should know at what time and where it's advisable to skate. Or if it's even advisable to skate there. The most recommended thing is to talk to the locals about it, but also there's a webpage that I'll link right here on screen or down in the description that talks about the safety of each city. And yes, there are very beautiful places to skate in, but there are also very dangerous places where they could cut off your feet just to get your skates. So be safe and learn about the city before traveling. With all of the things we've learned, you can now plan a super fun trip to anywhere you want to go and bring your skates, resting assured that you're gonna have a great time without any complications. So now it is your turn to tell me, are you planning a trip somewhere? Where? Did I miss something? Let me know down here in the comments. I'll be reading you and responding. I'll leave here on the screens some of the seasons from Roller World. If you enjoyed this video, let me know with a like. If you're not already, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon to get notified when we upload future videos. If you want to contact me, you can do it down here on the comments or through our social media and official website. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the next video. We'll see you in line.